All right, so friends, I was gone last week, vacation, birthday, Colorado, all those things. That's what you do. Usually when I am gone on a Sunday, you can rest assured that I am climbing some mountain or jogging on a beach or doing something where my wife wonders, how is that restful? This is your one Sunday off. How is that restful? But this week, last Sunday, while you were here, I was sitting in a Starbucks, drinking coffee, reading the news. I was catching up on those dumb emails that no one ever wants to respond to. I went on a picnic by myself at a lake and took another hike with another friend and played some board games with another friend. And I felt at the end, like, is this what normal people do on Sundays? Is this what you do? And you're not normal because you're here right now, but is this what it's like? Maybe when you're not here, those times when you're not here, you just go and do what you want to do? It's blew my mind. So I got to say, this experience has made me just kind of reconsider a little bit just how special it is that people choose to be here on Sunday mornings. They say, I want to do this. There's no pressure. No one's forcing you. There's no cultural pressure to be at church. Maybe 50 years ago, everyone was expected to be at church. This day and age, pretty much all of you chose to be here, unless you're a teenager, and there's not many of them here today. So, yeah, got a couple here. But I'm just more impressed than ever, and this might seem just kind of obvious to you, but to me it was like a little realization. 80 or 90 or 100 people come into this church every week, and you choose to do it. You don't have to. Some of you come here 3 or 4 times a year. That's great. Some of you come 30 or 40 times a year. That's great. Noella's family comes here 54 Sundays a year because there's not going to be a Sunday that you're here that they're not here. I do want to point out how cute that was that Alora had her hands together in the prayer, and that's the first time that Frankie's answered anything on the rainbow here. So we are getting to him there. But it drives important to me how it drives it home to me how important it is this kind of time for you, and how important it is that this kind of community can be for your soul. One way to just draw a little closer to God. So I want to tell you, I appreciate you. I appreciate the time I can rest. I appreciate the trust you have in this church. I commit to doing whatever I can to make these times valuable. Sometimes that means working really hard with the team to figure out the best way to do it. And sometimes it means stepping back and letting the Spirit do whatever the heck the Spirit is going to do. Now, last week when I was not preaching, Tim Fletch was preaching, and I want to thank Tim. Can we all thank Tim a little bit? There was a little clap before, but it's great. For some of you, public speaking is just a hard no. Never going to do it. The idea of doing a spiritual kind of speech and asking you to do something, I mean, that's really a hard ask, and he did good there. He had good theology, he had good history around that story of the woman who washes Jesus' feet. He was a little worried that I would come and correct something or add something, but no, I got nothing to correct. In fact, even his bad jokes, none of them were about me, so that's great. The last time that I was gone, and Tim, I don't even know if he was assigned a responsibility or if he just took this upon himself, but the last time I was gone and Tim came up here, he put an image of Danny DeVito and he put my face on it as to make sure that I was still here. I mean, Tim is Tim. We know Tim is Tim, but I just want to make sure that he understands that we appreciate all that he did to sanctify and consecrate this pulpit. So if we need to burn some sage to just make it a little bit better here, yeah. He's spoken to the mic. Let's get that one. Yeah, it's gonna be the best smelling sermon I've ever had here. Yeah, it's over here. Do something like that. But I want to thank him. I want to thank Janae and Marcy and whoever came out. I don't even know who came out to run the cleanup. For Kelsey and Jamie at the Fall Festival, for all the PW women at their craft days. So much going on. It takes so many people. The exorcists in the back who figured out how to get every Sunday to get that going. 5 of you showed up to make coffee today, way more than we needed, but it's just, I appreciate when new folks find ways to plug in, and I appreciate when really new folks start to get to know people, even though we only have one name tag for the Boudreaux over here because I messed it up and I've got them the wrong name. But new people are coming here, and I just want to thank the whole church for bringing in and being part of this place and being part of a good church that I'm happy to come back to. Now, Just to be abundantly clear, as I smudge the pulpit, I'm joking about Tim, but I want to make it especially clear on this first Sunday in Native American Heritage Month, there's nothing flip about smudging to me. I've done a lot of smudging. I've blessed many homes, mine, congregation members. I blessed 2 cars that wanted to be smudged. I blessed a robe once with a smudge, which is a weird story that doesn't belong up here at all. But just to say that I believe in the power of sage, biologically, psychologically, and in some way, spiritually. And whether it's sage, or whether it's a little ringing bowl, maybe when you're doing yoga, you hit the little bowl, whether it's just a moment of silence, there's just something special or transcendent or revealing. There's just something about rituals that has a power to affect us deeply, if we're ready and if we let it happen. Singing happy birthday is a ritual I don't really like, but my wife thinks it's an important ceremony, so everyone in the family, every time we have a birthday, she has this little sloth that holds a candle, and it's really cute. She puts it on the cake, and we all sing, and it's not just the fun of that day for that person. It's like these little threads of all of us coming together, and when those rituals layer onto each other, we're weaving together something about family. Or last month, I got to do the pastoral triple crown. This is the first month of my entire career that I've done all of these in a month. I baptized Charlotte. I officiated a wedding for Shay and Bill, and I took part in the memorial service for Rachel. Another pastor in the town here, he calls that hatch 'em, match 'em, and dispatch 'em. Yeah, I like that. I'm fine. Yeah. Now, there's a lot of different, those three rituals have very different emotions around them, but there's a reason that at all 3 of them, somebody carves out a special time, special place. They dress up, they send a card, they shed a tear, they tell a story. There's a reason why in all those places, somebody takes a deeper breath to be ready, and they walk into a place that feels sacred. Even if it's just a place to get married in Tracy Aviary, something about the setting, it feels special. Some of you do that with your family. You have family ceremonies. Some of you have personal routines that you've borrowed from other religions. That's great. Some of you have created a ritual around a gravestone or a date on the calendar or some mementos on the shelf, some shrine. Some of you, it's the national anthem or grandma's Thanksgiving table, or you might have affirmations you say every morning when you make your coffee. But the point of all these holy moments, all kinds of them, is in big ways and small to invite the Spirit into the rhythms of your life, to make those rhythms special, transcendent, and revealing. The point of all these holy events is to bring your humble soul closer to the power of love and grace and hope. Now, in the Christian church, almost every kind of Christian church, for the history of everything, almost all of them have some kind of sacred ritual. Some churches have names for them, like ordinance or sacrament. Some churches have 2 or 7 or 10 or whatever it might be. Some churches do them in special ways, their own special ways, oils on the forehead or excited 8-year-olds getting dunked in a bathtub. Almost every Christian church decides this is an important way for the Spirit to be part of my life. And almost every Christian church for the entirety of this religion has agreed that one of the most special things we can do is around this table. It's amazing. All the things that pull us apart, somehow we come to agree. Juice or wine or water, details. Bread or crackers or whatever those gluten-free things are, let it be. 1 cup we all dip in, or little cups we all drink. Yeah, that's fine, however it goes there. Is it Jesus's, some of you grew up thinking this is Jesus's body. Others of you grew up thinking this is a symbol for Jesus's body or remembrance, whatever. There are a million things that can pull us apart. But as far as I can tell, there's only a very small handful of things that hold all Christians together. 1 is Jesus, whoever he was. 2 is the Bible, whatever it means. 3 and 4 are baptism and communion. Those all seem to be glue, something about us that connects us to the Spirit. And I get it. It's totally possible that you've never felt the presence of God at a table like this, doing a ritual like this. And that's fine. We cannot force it. Spirit shows up in your life and the Spirit shows up. My style of leading communion is pretty low key. Some of you like to have the special prayers where I say something, you repeat them. Some of you grew up with such a high regard for this that you want it just this way. Others of you would be fine. Maybe you'd connect better if we had like bagels and decaf up here and we just, had a little party. That's fine. But well before any of us came to a table like this, the Old Testament, throughout all of that, through the New Testament, for 2,000 years of Christianity, there's this theme that runs through all traditions of our faith that something about this meal is like a hint for God's dream in our life and for the world. Something about retelling the story, not the gory parts of the story, but the sweet parts of love around a table. Something about moving in worship together, something about coming to receive grace or grace coming to you, something about trusting in a reality that's both tactile and bigger and more complicated than us. Something makes it holy. Now, my most holy communion ever was when I was an impressionable 22-year-old. I had to look it up exactly when it was, and I was 22, right when you're expected to be an adult, but you're also expected to be kind of, making some mistakes in your life. And at 22, I was carrying so much grief and guilt and shame and shamelessness. I didn't know where to put all that stuff, and it was going to come out someday, and it came out during a worship service at a conference, 1,200 teenagers and a few adults trying to keep them in order. And I was somehow one of the adults training to be a youth pastor, keeping them in order. And in this sermon, I just got filled with the weight of what it means to accept grace. She's just pointing at her brother. She's just calling him out there. Yeah. I got filled in this sermon with the weight of what it means to just accept myself. What could it possibly be like to just think, I'm okay? And I just was weak with this idea that God would give a darn about me. It blew me away that the world could be a place where I might belong and the Spirit might even have a direction for me, and that meant that I had maybe a point to being. Maybe there's a point to me healing and not just giving up on it all. And that might sound to you like the beginning of some freedom or some, like the chains were being broken. But for me, in that moment after the sermon, I was just this enormous burden that was suffocating to think that I was okay. That was suffocating, to think it was going to be okay. So I got in line for communion. And there's 1,200 kids, so there's a lot of lines. And I knew that one of our teenagers from Arkansas, he had volunteered to hold the bread and hold the juice. And so I kind of looked around for him. There he was over there. So I got in that line, moved over there, mostly to distract myself. Because then if I could act like an adult, I didn't have to think about what's going on in my heart. This is 25, 26 years ago, and this kid, he had mascara and blue hair. Today, there's like 3 of those in every classroom. In those days, that was pretty rare. He was really cutting edge. But even more so, he was wearing a Johnny Cash t-shirt. And he was wearing a particular one that some of you may have seen, where it's kind of looking up at Johnny, and he's got his guitar neck, and he's got his hand right there. And do you know what he's doing? Yeah, so Johnny Cash is flipping you off. And the camera's like right there on the finger, and then you get... And so I'm coming up to communion, and this is what I'm looking at, is blue hair, mascara, and Johnny Cash flipping me off. And I got red eyes from crying a little bit. And this 17-year-old boy kind of leans down, and he says, broken for you? Is it broken for you? And I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but something that is the image I had when, whether it's profane or inappropriate, whatever it was, I just knew he was an agent of mercy. He was like the one who let me be okay. And I thought, oh my gosh, it is, for the first time in my life, I started to understand that it's okay to be okay. This isn't always a fight. This isn't running on the fuel of pain, but maybe on love. I started to understand and started to take on the idea that this table could be mercy. Now, I've taken communion 1,000 times since then, some of them pretty perfunctory. I have served communion 1,000 times since then, and sometimes I see it be really powerful. Sometimes it's kind of just boring to folks. They talk on the back. But whatever this table has meant for you, whatever it can mean for you someday, I want you to know that it carries the potential. It is a place to be invited to point you toward God's dream for peace and wholeness. It carries hope like a little appetizer for heaven or salvation or the kingdom of God or whatever that might be. For thousands of years, Christians have disagreed about so many things, and we're going to continue to disagree about a lot of things, but so many of them have landed here with the reminder that God reaches out for a joyful banquet. And so for whatever pain you carry, for whatever doubts or anger you bring to this table, for whatever gratitude or purpose you've found in this life, may this be your opportunity to remember that God is aiming for abundance for you. This is your chance to rehearse here on earth what it could be like in heaven. And that means welcoming all. That means experiencing mercy. That means remembering to love. That means being gathered in diversity, beyond courage, beyond fear. This is our ritual that says God is here with us and for us. Amen.